Every single week, I meet with my clients anywhere ranging from 10K a month to 500K a month. And every single week, we meet one-on-one and we go through different specific problems that they're going through, different bottlenecks, etc. What I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through the 3 most important bottlenecks that I solved this week with my clients. So you can use it, you can implement it depending where you're in business. But I feel like this is going to be super cool because you can take some of this stuff, implement it today, and see a bunch of different benefits in your business. So these are what 6 to 7 figure entrepreneurs and founders are fixing right now. I have a lot of meetings every week. I'm not going to go through all of the meetings that I went through because that'll just be a very long video. I just want to give you kind of like the pointers and the blueprint that I gave all my clients. And every client is in a different niche, and we're going to go through it real quick. And I'm going to show you exactly how you paint the picture for them as well. So the first client is in the consulting niche. This client currently, big learning here is that you can build a great brand and still struggle to sell. I see this all the time. Clients with hundreds of thousands of followers struggling to sell. Unfortunately, it's very normal. Client niche, consulting. Client situation, they have traction, leads from different multiple sources, events, word of mouth, great product, recognizable in the niche, but unsure what to sell and what next steps to prioritize. The key insight with them this week was the following. Most people with a strong personal brand assume monetization is just a click or it's just a byproduct of being known in the industry. But having clarity in your offer will always be charisma or branding or whatever. I have clients with 1,000 followers making a doctor's salary in a month. And I have clients with hundreds of thousands of followers not making as much as them. So branding or follower count doesn't really equate to cash. The other thing that I really had to hone down was that just because people like you doesn't mean that they buy from you. A very important thing that you need to take away from this is the fact that likability is not necessarily something that people are looking for. They're looking for if you can fix a problem. People don't really care about who you are until you can show up that you can fix their problem. Then I'll show you exactly just to drive this point home. We have this Venn diagram, if you can, ikigai-ish kind of thing, but you have 3 different pillars. One is audience and trust. So if you have audience and you have trust, but you don't have a good offer, then people won't really know what to buy. And if you run this for a very long period of time, once you start selling, it's going to feel unnatural and people are going to lose trust because of that. There's a balancing game here, and honestly, you just have to learn that when you have the audience and when you have the trust, you're doing everyone a disservice if you don't have a valuable offer to sell. Some people have trust and value offer. I'd rather have this combination than this combination, because if you have trust from the marketplace and you have a good offer, you can make a good living and you can help people, but not the amount of people you are able to help if you don't have the audience. That's why a good trifecta here is if you have audience that trusts you and you have a really good valuable offer, then we can scale that really easily. So you hear me speak all this time, you need 3 things. You have attention getting mechanism, so something to build an audience. You need a way of monetizing or liquidating that attention with a good offer. And there's a bunch of stuff. I'll leave the link down below in the description. It's a full video going over all the different systems. And then you have O, which is operations, is how to make systems in all different parts of your business. Again, I'll leave the link down below. Okay, so now on the other brand, visibility is not equal to monetization. We just talked about that. For example, this client is in the health industry. This one is in the consulting industry. For this guy, they have an amazing brand. Really trusted in the space. His audience sees him as an expert. He's producing a lot of content and really good quality content. But despite the visibility and the audience, we're struggling to convert those viewers into high quality, high ticket sales, which is normal. The problem here being that the back-end monetization isn't matching the front-end authority. So in the front end, we see amazing content, hundreds, if not thousands of comments, hundreds, if not hundreds of thousands of views on every reel, but we're struggling to monetize that. The reason is because sometimes, yes, you can look like an authority, but that doesn't mean you're going to convert like one. The reason then what we did to solve this bottleneck was just create a thesis for conversions, meaning we have the visibility on Instagram, but we don't have a solid VSL. So that's something that we need to work on, or if it's not a VSL, solid funnel entry points. This could be, any of the sources that we have out there. Even if it's just a YouTube video that you have, you can use that as a sales asset to get people into DMs, so conversations, to generate sales through the DMs, which is something we're improving on, setting processes, etc. Another funnel entry point that you can copy as well is very simple sales assets, PDFs, Google Docs, Loom videos, whatever conversations you've had with clients, etc. There's so many things you can do, so many things. Ideally, over the long term, you want to have you can have a very solid VSL with automations in place, email follow-ups, etc. And also because VSLs, we can architect them in a way that they're just engineered to sell. You don't need it. It's good to have. But with this client, just using what we have already, lots of sales assets to create funnel entry points. Then obviously we need to have some sort of email follow-ups, very simple. And then the thesis is that after improving the visibility, again, one thing with this client also I forgot to mention is we want to make sure we're a little bit more aggressive with the CTAs to not sell specifically, but to get people to comment so that we can have conversations as well. We get the calendars booked, then that leads to consults and that leads to closes. That's the thesis for now with this client. Couple talking points we have with this client is we already have the strong brand, we already have the strong audience, but we have a very unclear buyer path, meaning this isn't clear with this client. We need to be a little bit more aggressive with how we are doing call to actions. We need to make sure that we're building a VSL funnel. We just have to make sure we're creating a very simple entry point for people to the VSL, just leading the majority of, and I have a video on niche VSLs, just go back to my channel, but we're creating this ecosystem so that we can always just funnel people to a couple different entry point VSLs, depending on what pain points we're fixing with different VSLs. Then we also outline content strategies, social proof reels, bottom of funnel testimonials, strategic lead magnets, because we can't just focus on giving value, meaning just tips and tricks to people, but we can engineer content so that it's social proof in a way that it doesn't seem salesy or it's just like, hey, look at me, I'm amazing. But how can we create case studies that give value, but still demonstrate that we're an authority in the market? So that's the kind of balance we're trying to hone into. And also I know I'm hammering this point home, is just building urgency to make sure that people that are following us sees us as somebody that they can buy something from. Because it's very hard because we want to make sure we're helping people, and the best way we can help people is if they come into this offer, because we can only help people until a certain extent with just free value, free content. So what we're doing is we're implementing the 4 T's: trust, which we already have, but more authority content, and content that generates authority through case studies, social proof. That's not just me-centric, but how can we implement content that gives value and at the same time showing our authority in the market and expertise. Trigger, what I said before, harder CTAs, and making sure that the content that we're giving out is not just soft in a way, but it's triggering people to make them realize that they have a pain and they need to make a change to solve their problem. Tools that we're implementing, a VSL funnel, we need to make that happen, and whatever types of sales assets we can use so that we can bridge their problem state to a solution state, which ideally is in a call and just selling our service. The timeline is making sure we can take somebody from a follower to a lead, and from a lead to a call quicker. Essentially what we're following is this: attention to nurture, nurture to offer. And then this is just like the backend systems, delivery, retention, etc. Lastly, the last client, this was fun, fitness coach. A scale what works before adding complexity. They just hit their best month in business yet, and they want to jump into like building new funnels and new shiny things. Like, hold on. We're not there yet. We need to master, because we just built this new offer from scratch, made 20K as soon as we launched. Amazing, but we need to pause a little bit. And what I say basically is this: scale, stabilize, optimize, and expand. It's a cool concept that I just made up, if I'm being honest. We took it from 0 to 20K. And right here, rather than adding complexity and adding things, it's like we need to stabilize and before we build more, because I told them momentum is a double-edged sword. We have the cash, we have the fuel to build, like blow this out of proportion. We can crash, making sure like if you want more people in, we can, but you're gonna be supply constrained. There's not gonna be enough of views to deliver the service. Or what we can is we're gonna see how we can take what we just did, stabilize it, create systems, make things better. And sometimes we're gonna take a revenue hit. It's completely fine. We're gonna make sure we optimize what we have. And then after we create systems around delivery, content, outreach, etc., everything, once we optimize that and we make sure clients are being served because they paid us money for a promise we told them we're gonna get, once that's fixed, then we can start looking into, okay, how do we maximize based on the attention that we're getting? How do we liquidate that attention? And obviously, how do we make sure we keep building the operations behind the scenes to make sure we can keep growing the business? And that's what we did. These are just 3 very quick things. Last week, we spoke with some of the clients. Some are making 300K, some are just making 20K, a bunch of different businesses. But all in all, main thing that we speak about is what I wrote above. This one, I'm not gonna write it again, is how to make sure you are optimizing the attention you're getting. It's not just getting eyeballs, but making sure you're getting good quality eyeballs, understanding what type of content to create, monetizing, liquidating, VSLs, sales, DMs, etc. And then the operations behind it. Below, if you made it this far, click the video that's in the screen right now, because it's going to tell you exactly all the systems that I teach my clients privately so they can optimize their attention, monetization, and operations. But for now, I'll see you in the next one.